let me show you how I built this leopard frog with marble eyes mounted on a rock.
We'll start by sketching out a rough size. So I think with this, these marbles are about the size I'd like them to be. So I'm gonna make the rest of the frog fit it. So kind of roughly sketch out the size of the eyeball. And then for his face, he's gonna have a top eyelid, down his back, short front arm. Then he's gonna need some big back legs. So roughly something like that. So I'm gonna need a couple of shapes cut out. So let's get these started. So I think that's gonna work out pretty cool. Let's see if we can't make this work. When I work on projects like this, I usually just kind of start and roughly cut something. So I got this piece of scrap metal out. It's probably more than big enough for what I need it to do. And so since I'm gonna need two halves to this, I'm gonna kind of just draw a line down the middle of it. Then I'm gonna sketch out how the frog body's gonna be. And I know roughly from my sketch that it's gonna need to be about 6.5, 7 inches long. So we don't waste a lot of this. Let's go ahead and make us a mark at like 7 for the length. And so he's gonna be a couple of pieces. So he's basically a kind of a torpedo shape. The eyes are gonna be about right here. So there's his face. And then this is the top of his back, which kind of lines up with his eyes on this type of frog. And then we'll end up having to have some side body pieces, which are more wedges kind of, which they'll come up here, and they're gonna need to be cut somewhere in here. Probably gonna go ahead and try to cut long strips here that can wrap around to the front. I don't know if I'll be able to cut all that out. Then I'll come back and cut some other pieces out. So we're gonna start by just trimming this out with a cutter, see what we end up doing. So we'll just cut it real quick.
This was a part that I missed the camera setting and had it actually on time lapse, so it didn't work out very good. But here I'm just finishing the cutting and starting the shaping. So I roughly shaped these things out using a piece of metal and a vise to kind of clamp them and break them into shapes to kind of get the rough start of this whole piece.
I'm just working on tacking this together a little bit. We're gonna get this piece, we're gonna start tacking the face down, come back and reshape the back of the body and the nose a little bit. We'll probably put a lower lip and a belly on him before we start putting the legs in. So just kind of tacking this together, trying to get these seams down just a little bit. Makes it fit. As he goes together, I'll just get him kind of ground down a little bit. We'll grind a little bit of these edges off, start working on the bottom and the lip to see how this is going to work out. I think shape-wise, he's not bad. We'll see if we can't get him in here and turn out all right. So we're going to take this scrap here. We're going to cut a bottom for the chin. So it's going to give him a little bit of a piece here. So I'm going to start, I'm going to mark right down the middle. So I have my center line, kind of always work off a center line. It's going to hook right in there to the nose. So I think we're going to be able to come back around this way and this way and make sure I leave enough space. I can always take it off later, but cut that around there. Probably just clean this up here a little bit. Let's get that cut and see if we can't put that back together, make that work. All right, now we're going to tack this in place, and then we'll kind of hammer on this thing to get it adjusted, kind of adjust his lip a little bit. But I think he'll tack about right here. We'll see how he looks. So now we'll adjust his lip a little bit, get the rest of that welded in place. I think he's gonna look all right. All right. Now I'm gonna try to make these marbles fit in here. So I think what I'm gonna do is I kind of like the upper lid on both of these. So to get it to fit in there, stay where I want it to be, I'm gonna grind the bottoms down a little bit. So I'll end up having to put something in here to hold it. We'll see how that's working out there. Grind a little bit of that off. Now that we got his head roughed in, you can see what it looks like with a marble in there. I think it's gonna look pretty nice. So I'm about to figure out, a way to keep this marble in there to make his eyeball work. So I'll figure out something that'll hold it in place, make that thing kind of hold together. I'll figure out a way to get it in there so it'll stay. Probably gonna put like a spring or a piece of metal behind it that I can kind of clip them in place, because I want to be able to finish this piece before I put the marbles in for his eyes. Now I'm gonna move on to the legs. We're gonna cut some pieces down, kind of start making his actually big long legs, because they're actually 3 pieces. So we'll start shaping those out and get that piece cut. All right, now it's time to put on the legs. I got these 2 pieces kind of shaped out. I'm gonna tack them together here in the back, and then I can kind of cut them apart later if I need to, and I'm gonna kind of hold them together so I can shape it all together. That way I have legs that are separatable and I can adjust the way he sits. And now I can put all the other pieces of the legs on. It's actually got 3 pieces to each leg. So let's go ahead and get these kind of shaped in. He may need to be bent in just a little bit, closer to the body. See, I'm kind of bending that together so I can tack it. This part of the leg might get cut off later when I actually hook it to the body, but This is going to kind of give me the shape I need back here for the start of the leg, and then I can kind of come back and put this piece in, and then the foot will actually come back this way. So let's see if we can't shape these up and make the legs look a little better. Now we just add a couple tacks to the legs as we start putting these pieces together. And these actually kind of come up in the way it mounts, so it's hard to see. But I'm actually going to hook this back end up just a little bit. I'll try to tack both of these just to give me a little something to mess with first, because this other foot is going to have to go back underneath here and get hooked in to make the third part of the body. So yeah, when we get this in here somewhere like that, his leg is going to set in there something like that with the foot up underneath here. It'll somehow work together. We'll get that thing worked out. All right, kind of got the legs put together, so now I'm going to try to fit the body on here. I think I need to set the body down in there just a little bit, so I'm going to do a little grinding here where the legs are. So I'm kind of going to mark a little bit of a cut out here. So I'm going to cut just a little bit out of this on each side and see if I can't get him to come back up to sitting down in there just a little bit better. This is the part where I do a lot of small adjusting and tuning of everything. So let me get that trimmed up and we'll see how he's looking. All right, now we've got the legs kind of roughed into shape. I think they're going to work out fine. We do a little cleanup on them, but I'm going to go ahead and tack this body on for right now so I can build the front legs and get everything lined up. So I think he's going to fit about right here. He'll be all right. So I'm just going to rough tack him, and that way I can take him off later if I need to. All right, I'm down to cutting down the legs. I think we're going to be able to mark these and get these to sit up in here, readjust these front legs, and kind of finish him up here a little bit. See what we can get done. All right, I've got him kind of laid out where I like him, but I'm starting to think that I got the eyes a little too far apart. So I've sketched out on here where I'm going to cut a notch out of here and see if I can't reposition his head a little bit and get his eyes a little closer together. At this point, this is a rough way to do this, but a lot of times when I'm doing these sculptures, I have to adjust things to make them look the way I think they should look. So I'm going to cut this piece out, and then we're going to see if we can't move and bend some things. I may have to cut him all the way in half and then weld him back together. So we'll see what we can do to get him adjusted here. It's just part of the process. Let's do a little cutting here and see if we can't do some surgery on this guy. Now we'll have to see if we can't get him moved back over and smash him a little bit once he cools off here. I may end up having to cut his jaw so it'll allow him to bend, because I don't think he's going to bend the way I want him to. Let's go ahead and cut that. I may have to cut his nose completely. We'll see what'll happen here. See if we can't bend him in place. May take a little persuasion, but I'm going to try to bend him into place here. There we go. That's bringing some of him around. I may end up cutting his legs back off and then putting them back on as well. If he moves too much here, I may have to trim a little bit more here just to get him to fit better. See, it's lifting his eyes here, giving me a little more of a better shape to his body. So I'm liking that a little better. I'm going to go ahead and clean that up a little bit, and then we'll start tacking him back together. Let's see if we can't tack this guy together again. I'm going to pull right here on his eyes, get his face put together, put a couple tacks in there, and then we'll hammer out some of the rest of it. So just trying to get this bent back up into shape. I think we'll get him tacked back together good there. I've just got the welder turned around real low on this, and so it won't burn through. But I'm just going to come in and I'm going to put in some lines and come in and put a little more detail on him. So that's going to kind of rough in a couple of things. I'm going to put a couple of rough spots here on him. Just kind of go around in a circle on those. We may come back, we'll grind them back down. You don't want them to be too perfectly round, so kind of make some different shapes. This really doesn't take that long. It's kind of a nice effect when you get done though, when you clean it all off. And you can come back in and go back over them if you need to kind of add some different shape to it. If one gets a little too long, you can come back and add a little bit more to it. So it's a pretty simple process. Just going through, putting different pieces in. Like I said, they don't have to be perfect because this is kind of a natural effect. And we can add less or more. We can take some of it back off if we need to. But once we start taking it back off, you can really see what kind of detail that's going to add back to it. It gives him more of a hard detail. Alright, now we're going to add a few toes to the frog. I think I'm going to use a piece of wire like this. I'm just going to weld it in place, then come back and cut it, weld the next one, and weld the next one. So we'll see if we can't get one started on here, see if it's going to grind down right after we put one together. And the first one's kind of a short one, so then this next one I'm going to make a little bit longer. But I'll go ahead and do the same exact thing and try to weld it in place. And we'll do one more, this longer one out here too. Come back and add those to each of the feet. We'll kind of bend them and grind them back into shape, get some weld marks on them. And I'll do the same thing to the back toes because these guys have really long kind of toenails. So let me get that done, I'll come back to it. Now that I got his feet on there, I'll do a little adjusting on them. I'm gonna grind everything down a little bit and then I'll kind of bend everything back down to where he's sitting on the ground. See, I kind of touched up some of the lines on his back and got a little more detail on him. So let's get him cleaned up a little bit. We'll grind his toes out a little bit, kind of bend them, get everything looking and shaped the way we want. So let me start on it and I'll show you how I'm doing it. So I kind of start by grinding out rough shape. Then I'm gonna come back with like pair of pliers, even if I have to put it on a bar and some hammer. I'm gonna bend these down and out a little bit to kind of make them a little less straight, and then we'll bend his arm back down and get him to where he's all set once I get his back toes done and everything. So let's get him cleaned up and we'll get him back sitting on the ground. All right, now that I got him cleaned up pretty good, see if we can't figure out how to put his eyeballs in since I'm using marbles. I used a piece of foam and I may be able to use that again. I've got a piece of this plastic foam, but I gotta get the eyes in from the inside. So one's pretty easy to put in. It's the second one that makes it a little harder. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this piece of foam in here. I may have to get a screwdriver or something to get it in there right. I'm gonna try to get this down, kind of smash it in place, squeeze it to begin with. Get the one eye down in place on the bottom. See how it's up in there now. I may have to bend that a little bit more. Now let's see if we can't tuck this one in behind. See if I can get that to hold it. Oh yeah, that one's better. So I actually like this one better than this one. So I need to open this hole on this side up a little bit to get the eyeball to stick out a little bit further. But I think that's gonna do what I want it to do. It's gonna give me a nice eye for the frog. And those are just some cat's eye marbles I found that fit. So I'm just gonna make the opening a little bit better on this other side. And then I'll figure out if I'm gonna use something like a piece of foam or maybe a spring or something in there to hold those in place. So, all right, we'll come back to that, see what it looks like. All right, so I decided, I think I'm gonna put in two little spring kind of pieces. I'm gonna put this over the eye. I don't think you'll be able to see that in there because my hand's in the way. But I'm basically gonna weld that on the side where it covers the eye hole. And I'll be able to put the marble in, it'll kind of act like a spring and hold it in place. So I'm gonna get that in place and I'm gonna be able to weld it back here. That way if I need to take it out or move it, I'll be able to adjust it, I think. I just gotta get it lined up over the hole and hopefully I'll be able to put the marble down in there and get it in place. So let me put a tack on this and we'll see if we can put a marble in it. So hopefully, and I can always put a tack further up, but I don't know if you can see that or not, but hopefully I can get that spring in there. Oh, you can kind of see it. So that little piece of metal is going to act as a spring over the marble. So let's put the other side in, see if we can't put the marbles in. All right, let's see if we can place a marble in there. I've got both springs put in place down in here, so I think I should be able to drop the marble in, kind of get it to lay where I want it to on one side or the other, and then just kind of pry back the spring and let it roll down into place. Now, this may be harder than I thought. There it goes. Let's see if I can push that back down in there and get the spring to tighten up on it. I may have to put something else in there to hold those two apart. Drop the second marble in. Man, this is like surgery here. A little bit harder to do than I thought. All right, got the second one in place. Then I should be able to just kind of bend that piece of metal. That one seems like it's holding pretty good. I may have to put a spring or something between them inside to hold it. So, but you can see how the eye is going to look, both sides. All right, now we're done with the frog pretty much. We're going to go ahead and figure out his mount. I found this rock. I think it's got a nice flat bottom. I was able to sand a little bit on it and flatten a couple of the bumps, which makes it flat here. I think he fits pretty good on it. Once I figure out where I'm going to put him, then I'll come back and bend his feet to kind of match the terrain. So maybe I may bend this foot down around so it looks like it wraps around the front of this thing a little bit, possibly. So I'm thinking I kind of like the size of the rock. I just got to figure out, I think he's sitting on there pretty good too. So I think I kind of like how that is. And if I bend this down around the front, I think we'll have a nice looking, kind of a simple mount. So we'll see what that does. Now that I got the frog, I think I like where he's at. So I think somewhere back in here, I'm gonna end up putting I'm gonna mark this. So I'm gonna drill a hole right there, and what I'll end up doing is putting a bolt up through and welding it to here so I can actually put a nut on the bottom and take him on and off the rock if I want to. So let's go ahead and drill a hole in there and see if we can't get that through there. Sometimes these rocks are hard, sometimes they aren't. Yeah, this rock's got some hard spots in it. I'll have to take it off there and put it on something else. Let's see if I can get that hole drilled through there. All right, I got my hole drilled. Found a bolt that fits through it. It's gonna fit nice on the bottom. This is only gonna leave a screw head so that doesn't hit anything. So I got plenty of room there. So what I'll do is I'll figure out where he's going, and I'll probably put an extra piece of metal in here if I need it, and I'll weld a nut into the bottom side so I can screw this back up in there, and I'll just shorten this to whatever length it needs to be. So let's see if I can't get that put together, ready to install. So let's see how he looks. All right, we got him mounted. I got the toes bent over and I got him sitting on here pretty good. I think he's gonna work good. He's got one little bolt there, holds him in place really good. So I think now we'll just get everything cleaned up, put a little clear coat on it, and should be ready to go. Let's see what we can finish. Another thing I do to these rocks, once I polish them off a little bit with a brush and a flat, I go ahead and put a little oil on them. Just kind of keeps them a little more sealed almost. It's like a sealer for them. I'm just using a mineral oil. And they dry back out, so they'll lighten back up. But it seems to kind of put a coating on them that keeps them a little better sealed for the long haul. So simple process. I've done this a lot in the past, and on these are limestone rocks. This area of Texas used to be under an ocean, and so these are all, you can actually kind of see in some of these rocks more than others, but what are little seashells actually embedded in the limestone. So that's what all these holes and stuff are. And that's why this thing can be soft and powdery all the way to rock hard, depending on what's in it. So we just get it kind of coated good. We'll rub off the excess in a little bit and then let it dry, be ready to go. All right, we've got him finished up here, so let's go ahead and assemble him. Do kind of a final assembly on him. Drop the screw through, line it up with the nut. I'm gonna start it. I think I got it started. Nope, I don't have it started. All right, let's see. Can't quite see in there. There we go. Get that lined up. A couple threads in there. There we go. Now we'll get him sitting where I think he needs to be. Go ahead and tighten him down. He should be ready to go. And really get him tightened up on there, and there he goes. He's not gonna move. Really like how the eyes turned out. They turned out nice. Marbles work good for that. They kind of have the right shape to them, so the right kind of inside shape with the cat's eyes in there.
And there he is, my Leopard Frog, hand forged with metal and marble eyes. If you enjoyed watching this build, go ahead and hit that like button. It really does help the channel more than you think. And if you want to see more metal projects like this one, make sure you subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss the next build. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.